be much better. If you take hartals, if you're here for the class. I'm here. So you take hartals, that is much better. And Jagopal is about to come any moment. He's my Ridanga man, otherwise I'm lost. Why this doesn't work? Somehow I'm not succeeding to connect these two. Oh yeah, there it is. Good. Good, I'm saved. So, thank you very much to everyone who are here. So this is what, the second class in the series of classes on the topic of Srimati Rādhārāṇī. And since today is the appearance day of Sri Lalita Devi, then we thought that it would be the most appropriate to speak on to speak on that topic, right? Because we don't often have the opportunity to actually glorify Lalitā-sakhi. Usually we don't have a festival here, but in the temples where they have Lalita on the altar, then they do Abhishek, and previously at least, yeah, now they stopped. Don't know why. So, so normally we sing Jai Radha Madhava before the class, but since it's Lalita's appearance day, and since there is a beautiful poem by Narottam Das Thakur where Lalitā-sakhi is mentioned as a person to whom we are praying to engage us in the service of Shishi Radha Shyam Sundar, so we thought to sing that song today, and there are, oh, thank you, there are sheets that miss the title. Very sorry for that. But if there is someone watching this over online over internet, then you can just type into Google search Radha Krishna Prana Mora, and you will get the song, and then you can also follow with us. Okay, so I believe this was this one, right? Let's see. We try, and then we see what happens. And if it's wrong, then we need to correct it, especially because my voice is not the best these days, but it's okay. Could you please take Mridanga? Otherwise, I'm lost with rhythm, so I need him to keep me on track. And you're also very good, so I'm fine. Okay. I just start once very slow, okay? And then we. So it's the poem from Narottam Das Thakur describing actually a person who is aspiring to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, and also praying to the two main gopis, Lalita and Vishaka, to engage that person in the service of Radha Krishna. So. Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Keshora Jivane Marane Gati Arona Himora Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Keshora Jivane Marane Gati Arona Himora. Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Keshora Jivane Marane Gati Arona Himora. Krishna Pranamora Jugala Keshora Jivane Marane Gati Arona Himora. Yeah, I'm always too slow. That's why. Can you tell me a bit faster rhythm, please? It's okay, but I'm losing it. Connect. Yeah, okay. We'll try again. So it's a really very, very prayerful song. We are praying very eagerly for that service. It's very meditative, and for me, sometimes with these kind of poems, for me, it's almost impossible to concentrate on anything else than just for really that meditative mood. And I'm not a musician by education, so I lose the rhythm, but please, the essence is really to connect with the text. That's why you also have translation under it. So we try. Kalendera kulakele Kadambera vana Ratana vedira upara Bosa bodu jana Dera kulakele Kadambera vana Ratana vedira upara Bosa bodu jana Shamagare anganibo Chandane langana Chamaradu lavokave here mukha chandra shamagare agyani bo chandanera ganda chamarado lavokave heri mukha chandra gate amalatirmala divono aragale adare tulia divo karpura tambule gate amalatirmala ibono haragale adare tulia divo karpura tambule Lalitā-sakhi Jata-sakhi Brinda Agyaya koribo seba charanaravinda Lalitā-sakhi Jata-sakhi Brinda Agyaya koribo seba charanaravinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daselanu Dasa Sevaya Vilasakole Narottama Dasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daselanu Dasa Sevaya Vilasakole Narottama Dasa. So I think it's better to stop here because those who are musicians will curse me forever. And maybe I'll end up as Narada Muni, who previously was singing and all the ragas became broken. So then he got the opportunity to go and to learn to sing properly. Maybe I'll also get the same opportunity by your blessings. But I'm not used to sing this poem as like this with an audience. It's really more for praying. So I'm not used to really go in call and response manner. But I hope, and yeah, and I just now noticed that the last two verses were switched in Sanskrit, but the translation was proper because, as usually, we have the author of the poem at the end saying his name and expressing his desires and prayers. So, Lalita Devi, it's a very elevated subject, right? And I happen to have the wrong paper, one moment. A very elevated subject, which is definitely, I'm not the person suitable to do this glorification, but I can only try my best, and with your blessings, we can hear something valuable on the topic of Lalitā-sakhi. And before we start, let us simply offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Lalitā-sakhi is one of the 8 main sakhis, 8 main gopis, who are the closest to Srimati Rādhārāṇī and who are in charge of all the other gopis, of all the other manjaris that are serving in Sri Vrindavan. And although Vishakha and Lalita as are mentioned as the 2 main ones, still Lalita is then even placed a bit higher, and it is said that she's the most predominant. And even if you look, for example, at the altar in Sri Vrindavan, at the altar of our Krishna Balaram temple, where we have Radha Shyam and Lalita and Vishakha, then you see that on one side, on the left side of Shyam, there is Srimati Rādhārāṇī, and then on the other side, next to Shyam, there is Lalitā-sakhi. So I heard the class also given by one Maharaj, and he was saying that Krishna is sandwiched by 2 of them. So that means they're very, very closely connected to him. And so the Lalita is even more important than Vishakha Gopi. And it's also mentioned that Lalita is the Shiksha Guru of all the gopis, including Srimati Radharani. She's teaching them all how to serve and how to please Krishna. And especially for us who are Rupanugas, who are the followers of Srila Rupa Goswami, Lalitā-sakhi is very important because Rupa Goswami, who is in his original Swarup, he is actually, who is he in Radha Krishna? He's Rupa Manjari. So Rupa Manjari is serving directly under Lalitā-sakhi. So obviously we are coming in that line, and that's our way into service of Shri Radha Shyam Sundar. Who is Lalitā-sakhi, and what are her qualities? How does she look? We hear that she was born in the village of Karhala, or sometimes it's pronounced Kerhala. But then later on, when she grew up a bit, then her family moved to the village where she spent most of her time and where she was very closely connected and serving to Srimati Radharani. Someone knows the name of the village? Unchagaon. And it's very close to the palace and the village of Nanda Maharaj, of the village of Srimati Rādhārāṇī in Vrindavan, which is in Vrindavan, the place of Srimati Rādhārāṇī? Huh? Yavat, no, that's actually the place where Rādhārāṇī was actually married to Abhimanyu, Yavat. There she moved to Yavat, as far as I remember. And the Kutila and Jatila live in Yavat. But the place of Srimati Radharani in Vrindavan is Varshana. It's a huge palace. If you were there, or even if you look on internet, it's a beautiful, huge palace of not Nanda Maharaj, sorry, I said Nanda Maharaj, right? Of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, who is the father of Srimati Radharani. Yes. So Lalitā-sakhi lived in the village of Unchagaon, and even today there is a beautiful temple on the top of a small hill with devotees who have still today a very sweet mood, and they're very welcoming, and it's very nice to go there and do kirtan. And on the side of it there is a beautiful lake called, if I remember properly, Dehakund. And even one more important thing is there, right, actually at the bottom of the temple, there is like a small forest, several trees, and there is also a samadhi of Narayan Bhatta Goswami, who is very, very much known all over Vrindavan. He's known as Brajrasacharya, and he was known as always roaming around Vrindavan, and he was famous as a devotee who would every day do Braj Mandal Parikrama. Every day. We today, when it's organized by ISKCON, we need 1 month to do it, and we walk for many kilometers every day, sometimes 20, sometimes 30, then we sleep, then we rest, then we do like that for 1 month, and then we do the whole Braj Mandal Parikrama. And this devotee, he would do the whole Braj Mandal Parikrama in 1 day, every day. He would start Mangalarati time, and in the evening, already before dark, because you should not do it during dark, he would already be done. And it was said that he was his devotion was so powerful that wherever he would sit and take rest, at the same, right then, the pastime would start manifesting in front of him. He was such a powerful devotee. And his samadhi is there, and not only that, but he's also coming in the line. He's coming in the line of Gadadhar Prabhu, who is in certain way connected to Lalita, and this we will describe later. So that's the village of Unchagaon. If you haven't been there, please make an effort when you go and visit Vrindavan to go there. It's not far, and ISKCON is always organizing tours there. And how does Lalitā-sakhi look? How does she look? She's described as a very, very beautiful person, very sweet, and she has a complexion that is bright golden, very beautiful color compared to Gorochana. I've never seen Gorochana, but I've read that that's a very special pigment of golden color that and it's very valuable, very precious, and also very beautiful. And you obtain it by in a very special circumstances, when there is a certain stellar constellation, and at that time it rains, and then that rain falls on the cow, and then you get that pigment. So it's very unique, very special. So that's the complexion of Lalitā-sakhi. And she wears a sari that has a color of peacock feathers, and even in a poem, Lalitā-sakhi, that is written by Rupa Goswami, not surprisingly, because he's very close to her and he's serving her. It is described that sari has the color of, not only of peacock feathers, but the color of the feathers on the peacock's tail when he's dancing very ecstatically. So you can just try to imagine. We can't imagine, but we can try a bit, if you ever seen the peacock dancing and moving his feathers and how they shine when the light falls on them, so something like that, but much, much more beautiful. And her eyes are very restless. They're moving constantly to and fro. And it is described that they're more restless than the eyes of a doe, of a female, obviously, doe. So, you know, you can imagine a doe. They're easily frightened. And they're always looking what's going on. And if they hear a sound, and they have very good hearing. And then you can imagine how much these eyes are moving back and forth. And Lalitā-sakhi, her eyes are even more restless than that. She's just constantly also looking. But at the same time, she's like that, but at the same time, she's very sober, very composed, and she has a special role in the exchange between Srimati Rādhārāṇī and Krishna, because she's actually the one who is teaching Srimati Rādhārāṇī how to express her anger towards Krishna. Maybe someone knows the Sanskrit term, because Sanskrit is very rich language for spiritual subject matter, and in English or German or any other language of this world, we don't really have the appropriate translations. So how is that anger of Srimati Rādhārāṇī called? You know the word? It's known in Vrindavan, Man. Yeah, there is even Man Mandir in Varshana, where it says where Rādhārāṇī comes, and there she expresses that. We call it angry mood, but it's much more than that. It's described as angry and sulky, mostly happening when Krishna is late for their meeting, and then he arrives, and then you even see that he was maybe with some other gopi, and then Radharani is already she's upset, but she can't be really angry. It is described she can't really be completely angry, but then Lalitā-sakhi is the one who is teaching her that mood, and who can very easily become very angry, and she's described that she has very hot-tempered nature. She can easily get angry, and she can use very harsh words. And she can control both Krishna and Radharāṇī using such language. But it's never, again, we call it harsh. Like when I say harsh, I can be very harsh, I know that. So when I use harsh, that's usually, it's painful for the other persons, right? When you're harsh to others, it can be painful and offensive, and it's not nice. But when Lalitā-sakhi is using so-called harsh words, in Sanskrit, they're called pragalpa. We can't translate that. It's simply enticing the exchange between Radha and Krishna. It's nothing to be offended by or hurt by, or it's nothing wrong. Krishna enjoys it very much, and that's why she's exactly there to enhance that mood. So, and she's very good in arguing, usually when Krishna comes and when he's late, and then he doesn't start arguing directly to Radharāṇī, but very often Lalitā-sakhi, she comes forward and she starts arguing with him, and she's really on his case, and she's chastising him. And whatever excuse he gives, she will find a counter argument, and he's always defeated by her, and he's like, yeah, that's their exchange. And yeah, so she's actually there to facilitate naughty and mischievous nature of Krishna, and he likes to argue with her and to try to find new excuses. So with such mood, Lalitā-sakhi belongs to a certain group of the gopis in Vrindavan, according to her mood. So there are 4 groups of gopis in Vrindavan, and 2 are. First is Svapaksha and Vipaksha, and then there is Tatastha and Suhrit. So Svapaksha is when they're very favorable to Radharāṇī, but they are also very opposing to Radharāṇī's main rival, who is Chandravali. And we actually hear from Acharyas that Chandravali is just an expansion of Radharāṇī, and so that's another thing, but yeah, they're not different, but still, there is that group of gopis. Then there is another group of gopis, Vipaksha, exactly the opposite. They are very favorable to Chandravali and very much opposing Radharāṇī. So that means if Krishna is meeting with Chandravali, they will speak a bit bad, so-called bad about Radharāṇī, and they will blame Radharāṇī and things like that. And then there are 2 other groups, Tatastha and Suhrit. Now a bit, but still it's nice to hear. Tatastha are those who are favorable to Chandravali, but they're very neutral to Radharāṇī. They're fine. They're okay with that. So they're more mild. They don't have such hot temperament. And then also the Suhrit, they are favorable to Radharāṇī, neutral to Chandravali, mild nature. So from all this, what do you think where Lalita would fit? Into the mild nature or the hot-tempered? Hot-tempered, right, right. And yeah, I gave it away. But good, you were listening, so now you know. And what do you think? Is she favorable to Radharāṇī or to Chandravali? What would be your guess? To Radharāṇī, yes, very much, very much. she's the closest person to Radharāṇī, and she's very much always defending her and always chastising Krishna for spending time with any other gopi. So apart from that, there is again another division amongst gopis. So it's interesting when you look in the spiritual world, you see that there is everything what we experience here in the material world, like also here we have divisions, but everything here is perverted. There you have divisions and you have some frictions, but everything is made really for the pleasure of Krishna, and everything is running ultimately smoothly, and there are no problems, right? And here we have divisions and we have big problems because everything is perverted. We have everything what is up, what is there, not up, what is there, but it's perverted. So also there are two different groups then, similarly like here. There is Dakshin and Vamya. Dakshin means the right wing, Vamya the right wing, Vamya means the left wing. So right wing, like here in politics, usually the right wing is the submissive, let's call it, at least in the case of gopis, submissive and easygoing. And we have the left wing, which is rebellious and not submissive. So where do you think that Lalita would fit? Left wing, yeah, definitely. Lalita, Radharāṇī's wing is left wing, by the way. And Chandravali is in the right wing. They're the submissive ones, and they don't argue that much with Krishna. They just praise him, and when Krishna comes to the gopis, then he gets all the sauce. They are really on his case. So yeah, and that's also interesting how it's described. Like this right wing, the submissive one, it's described that has the mood of Gritta Sneha. Gritta coming from ghee means it's very wholesome, it's very valuable, it's very nice, in other words. But then the mood that is predominant in the left wing is Madhu Sneha. Madhu, you know which ingredient that is in usually in Ayurveda also, and in Sanskrit, Madhu? Something very sweet, honey. So it's not only wholesome food, you know, very good, but it's also very sweet. So it's a bit better for taste than ghee. You know, there is more rasa there. So Lalita, actually, the name means that she's expert in all the arts. That's the meaning of her name. And as far as her service is concerned, she is the one who is the most expert in applying makeup to Srimati Radharāṇī, and also decorating Srimati Radharāṇī's hair, and also dressing her. There she's really the most expert, and these are her main services, although you can understand how close she is to the divine couple from the fact that she's actually, when they're meeting, when they're together, she's there to wipe the perspiration from their face. So it's very, you know, it's such an intimate moment. They're together. They're maybe exchanging this sidelong glances, and then she's there, like to wipe any perspiration. It's very, very intimate, very close. And so that's Lalitā-sakhi in Radha Krishna Lila. But then, of course, we know that we have no access to that Lila if we don't approach first Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. So then it's also interesting to look into that, who is Lalitā-sakhi in Gaura Lila, right, in order to understand. And actually, that's so interesting and very confusing, at least confusing for these material minds, almost impossible to conceive how that all is possible, but we can read from Prabhupada and from Acharyas and at least try to understand. Because actually Prabhupada himself in Adi Lila, in Gaura Ganodesh Dipika, in Adi Lila from Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's quoting Gaura Ganodesh Dipika, and he says that Krishna's pleasure potency, Vrindavaneshwari, we all know who Vrindavaneshwari is. Rādhārāṇī is Vrindavaneshwari, she's the queen of Vrindavan, right? And that now she appeared as, in Gaura Lila, someone knowing? Gadadhar Prabhu, yes. She appeared as Gadadhar Prabhu. But then Svarup Damodar Goswami is adding to that, and he says that Gadadhar Prabhu is simultaneously Lalita-sakhi and Rādhārāṇī. So that's why I said it's confusing and difficult to understand. It's like overlapping of, two personalities then appearing as one, and according to our understanding, two female personalities according as one male personality. Even there, I heard very, very interesting comment how we use, and even Prabhupada said that he's using he and she just to make it possible for us to somehow understand. But he said, actually, you cannot describe Krishna as he or she. It's the divisions that belong to this material world, to the world of dualities. And he said, if you want to describe him, you can say Adi Purush. He's the supreme enjoyer, the supreme person. But this gender division belongs here. And even Radharāṇī, she's the pleasure potency of Krishna. There is no need to say, she's the feminine, she's the pleasure potency of Krishna. But we need some help to understand it a bit. So it's interesting because Gadadhar Prabhu is both Radha and Radharāṇī and Lalita. But then it is also written in the scriptures that actually Svarup Damodar Goswami is the incarnation of both Lalita and Vishaka, right? So we already have Gadadhar Prabhu, then you have Lalita and Vishaka. And that actually, that's why his service there in Gaura Lila is actually to help Krishna to experience Radharāṇī's mood. And that's why he's Lalita Vishaka combined to enhance that mood in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, on top of all that, if that is not enough already for our minds to really go crazy and like, what is this? Then there is another very close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who is also, if you have any question at any point or don't understand something, please just ask. There is another personality who is also said to be, I think he's also, again, incarnation of both Lalita and Vishaka. I'm just not, or one of them only, but still. You know which one? The other very close associate who was also with Ramananda Roy. Yeah, so even more. So it's like, oh my God, but that's the nature that's the spiritual nature that we are at the moment. We have the mind and the senses. Mind is also another sense. With these senses, it's almost impossible to grasp these truths. We can just try. But I wanted to mention this exactly because of that, to understand how we need to be very careful when reading about these spiritual subjects and understanding that these things are so high, so inconceivable for us, right? Inconceivable. Only by Krishna's mercy we can get a glimpse into that and get the opportunity to serve. That's the most important. So these were the qualities of Lalitā-sakhi, her appearance, her name, where she appeared in Sri Vrindavan. But then there is one essential quality of Lalitā-sakhi, and if you will take only one thing with you from this class, then please remember this one. All the other, it's very nice to meditate upon, to remember, also to glorify her. But if we would remember all that and all these divisions and this and that, but one thing we can always remember, and that's the essential quality of Lalitā-sakhi. It's similar like when we have like Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami mentions 26 qualities of a devotee, right? And then he says, if you would have 25 of these qualities, but you're missing one that is the essential one, you're not considered a devotee. So that means that quality is really the important one, right? So in this case of these 26 qualities, which would be the essential one? Huh? Krishnaika Sharana. Yeah. That means devotee is taking not only shelter in Krishna, but exclusive shelter, exclusive. And if you have all the other 25 qualities, which are very wonderful and very high and something to really aspire to, but you miss that one, according to Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, according to our acharyas, you're not really considered a devotee. So in the same way, as I was trying to prepare this class and I was meditating on Lalita-sakhi, and it's really beautiful to remember all these things, but then I thought, okay, but what for me personally, what can I take from this and carry with me, and not just forget all these descriptions and externals, sometimes externals, so-called externals. So the essential quality of Lalita-sakhi is that she's always trying to please Radha and Krishna. That she's doing millions and millions of services just to please them, and that she's not sparing any effort in order to give them pleasure. And that's her main quality. And that's why actually, not because of other things, but because of that main quality, she's the most predominant gopi. She's sparing no effort, she's investing all the energy, and she will do everything. And even sometimes it happens, she's in charge of different services, and then she can't do service. It is explained by our acharyas because there are some naughty monkeys, and then she can't reach to one spot on time or so, and then she arranges other gopis to do, because she's so eager to please them, and she's always anxious that they are really pleased to their full satisfaction. And not only that that's her main focus and goal, but if she meets any person who has even a slightest trace of a desire to serve Rādhārāṇī, Srimati Rādhārāṇī, she will immediately engage that person in the service. In other words, she's very, very compassionate as her mistress, right? So for me, that was the quality that I want to meditate upon today on this day, and on any other day when I remember Sri Lalita-sakhi, the quality of being always focused on serving Radha and Krishna for their pleasure. Like that. Do you have any comment, any question? Any critique? Especially for the song that we sang at the beginning, and luckily not many of you were yet here. Good.
I would have one question. Thank you, first of all, very much for the beautiful Katha. You mentioned how we are followers of Rupa Goswami, Rupa Nugas, and how he's emphasizing the actually Madhurya Rasa and the context of Krishna Lila where the gopis are present. And it's more a question that I want to ask in regards to how to see ourselves in connection to Krishna Lila, since it seems Krishna has a particular set of associates who come with him in different types of arrangements, like Gaura Lila. We always find the identities of the personalities seem to be one particular set of associates. And then I was just wondering, not necessarily as a personal meditation, how should I contemplate to be with Krishna, but generally, how is it understood how does the jiva ultimately, if the jiva attains perfection and gets back to Krishna Lila, where is its place? It seems like, because sometimes Prabhupada makes statements like we all meant to participate in the Rasa Lila of Krishna, and so, but it seems there's a particular kind of group of jivas, and so I wonder
several
a bit
things come to my mind. 3 things. I hope I remember all 3. First of all, just maybe start with the 3rd thing that came to mind. So when you say in other words, you say there are so many And how do we get access? Because there are a certain set of associates, right? And how do we go in, or?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what would be the place? Because it seems there is a particular place that is given to the close associates. I'm wondering if a jiva anyway would be considered to take such a place or not.
Okay, I can answer this from my very limited understanding, and if some of senior Vaishnavas here want to correct me, I will be very grateful for that. There is definitely place. We can't understand with this mind the spiritual nature. Like Braj Mandala is described as a lotus flower, and at one point that lotus flower is closed, and then it has the certain surface, and then at other times it opens up, and then that surface is unlimited, and we can't even understand. We go to Vrindavan, to Vrindavan that is on this planet Earth, at least externally, or there are two Vrindavans, one that is here and one that is not manifested, but is also there. But we go there and we see, and then there are, we see Govardhan Hill is that big, Vrindavan is here, Mathura is there, and Unchagaon is there, and we think that's how it is. But in Vrindavan, we can't understand. Like, that's why Krishna at the nighttime, when he's going for Rasa Lila with the gopis, he can very easily reach to other places, because maybe the lotus is open like this, but then Krishna needs to go from here to there, and the lotus just closes, and he's just quickly, it's the nature that we can't understand. Is there a place for us, for a jiva? I remember once listening to a class where it was described how, of course, Lalitā-sakhi always stays the one that is the closest to the divine couple. But as we once hopefully enter that club, that association, why did Krishna appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Why did he want to taste the nectar of service to him? Because the further you are, the sweeter it is, the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. So you don't have to be next to Krishna to really be in that club. You just need to be connected. And basically already now you are in that association, because you are connected to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is certainly connected to Rupa Goswami and to Lalita and to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and to all the associates. So we are already in that club. We're just not aware of it. And that's our misfortune. But we are already there. And now we have to remember this first and second thing that came to my mind when you asked. One thing was something that is not relating to this. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, now I forgot. But according to my limited understanding, of course there is place, and of course that otherwise why would acharyas write about that? That we have the possibility to enter the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna and to be the servant of. Why would they write about all that? Why would that be described in the Shastra if that would not be possible? From my experience, the things that I could so far realize, which are very limited and very far from that. It's nothing that elevated, obviously. It's just, it's for example, some teachings of the Bhagavad Gita that I could so far realize in my personal life. And everything turns out to be as Prabhupada is saying. And the things that I previously didn't understand, and then the time comes when you go through certain purifications or you get mercy, and then you realize these things, and you understand, it is so. And the more you stay in this process, and the more sincere you do it, you perform devotional service, you get more and more proofs that things are like that as we read it from the Shastra. No doubts, just certain things we don't realize yet. We are not, but it's definitely there. I'm convinced. I don't know, maybe I'm... And maybe someone else wants to say something on that topic that would be maybe more scripturally valid or supported. Krishna Prem Rupa, you have something? It looks like
No, I don't have anything. I just felt your answer was very beautiful in the sense that in the spiritual world, it's not about being directly with the divine couple, but just being
connected.
Yeah, and it's also described that actually the manjaris who are a little further away, they actually have more relishing than the gopis in itself. So and if we are somewhere in a back serving the manjaris or someone connected to the manjaris, then we actually experience such a great spiritual pleasure and bliss and satisfaction. So I think your answer was very beautiful.
Thank you.
I don't have to add anything.
Good. I got the blessings of an authority. Does that answer? Okay. Any other question or comment that you would have? No? Okay. Then we can conclude here. Thank you very much for not giving up on inviting me, although I was very busy, but now I really hope it was very. It's interesting. I want to ask you all for your blessings. I haven't given a class in the temple for a very, very long time, and I find it very, very hopeful that it's exactly on this day, because before I got my first name from my parents, which was Radica, and foreigners pronounce it Radhika. My godfathers had another name, and my parents didn't accept it because my mother said it sounds like a name for a dog, because it doesn't exist in Serbia, but it was Lalitā. So I hope that on this day, by your blessings, maybe I can get the opportunity to come and to serve more in the temple and to become more part of this community and to share more, whatever was given to me by my spiritual master. So please give me your blessings, and thank you very much.